radio shows all over the country. Time I was about 20. We need to start a website. Can you help us out? Some brand management partnerships. It's now the fifth largest college or university.
This is a tool where you can target market, you can aggregate audience, you can communicate through, you can vet vendors, you can utilize relationships to figure out who you want to work with, you can vet candidates for HR, you can qualify sales leads. And so if I'm looking at this as a business development tool, or I'm looking at the verticals of my company, I can hit everything within a company. And there's value to that, but it's a database of 96 million people who've essentially given you their resumes. And if you think about all the applications to utilize that information from, it's amazing. And I'll give you a personal way that I utilize it. I utilize it as an online Rolodex. So it's a way for me to manage my relationships. If they move jobs and they update their information in LinkedIn, it's automatically updated in my Rolodex. I don't have to pull the card out, put another card in. I just would rather do that all virtually. And I also think it's a good map of what my relationships are. So it tells me kind of the network that I have and how it's grown and who connects me with who. And that's very valuable because it's hard to map that offline, but virtually you have all that information at the ready at any given time. You're able to segment out all 96 million people into whatever categories you want. And one of the examples I use often is you can take a group of 96 million and take it down to 400,000 CEOs. So it's essentially a white pages of the C-level people. And then you can take it down to the CEOs that have an affiliation with you. So for our purposes, we generally talk about Michigan State University. And there are 1,800 CEOs who graduated from Michigan State University who have a profile on LinkedIn. And then I can take it down to geography. So Chicago, I know there are about 80 CEOs who graduated from Michigan State University who have a profile on LinkedIn. Within a 50-mile radius of downtown Chicago. That's invaluable. And then not only that, I can see how I connect to those people. So I can see the relationships emanating out of that. And I think, going back to the thought process that this is only a tool for finding jobs, I use that as the personal Rolodex, but other people will use it for business development. Other people will utilize it to find the best hires. Other people will utilize it to find the best jobs. So there are a whole host of ways to utilize it and play around in that space. Every day I see that they're adding more things that I think make it even more usable. So, as I said, I'm a big fan of LinkedIn. I think most people know that by now, but I know a lot of people are on it. They're still not necessarily utilizing it strategically. And one of the things we're trying to do with our alumni and students is put them ahead of the curve in this relation, because these type of environments are only going to grow and become more important in our work life. For instance, I do believe that we're looking at essentially going into professional profiles, and your personal brand within this environment is going to be what HR officers are going to look at when they're deciding whether to hire you or bring you in as a candidate. So it's essentially becoming the new resume. I think if I were to talk about LinkedIn in a nutshell, I do presentations on social media often, and I look at LinkedIn as the corporate office. And I look at Twitter as the water cooler, so it's a steady stream of information that you want to follow right now. And I look at Facebook like the bar. There can be great conversations, but there can be conversations you just don't want to have in there, or you don't want transparent. Well, if I'm going to focus my time from a professional perspective, I'm going to focus at the corporate office, because that's where I can make most impact. And I now have a network of roughly 2,400 first-level connections, which gets me to just about 10 million third-level connections. So a connection of a connection of a connection, that's a very broad-based network. And I can mobilize that network to create opportunities for MSU alumni and students. So it makes me more powerful, better at my job. And I think that, again, I've just spent the time and effort to build that network in that environment because I focus on LinkedIn as the most important of those big three social mediums. And I think that would be the key takeaway, is if you really want to drive your professional development profile within social media, LinkedIn is a great place to do that.